If you struggle with self-confidence issues, lack of self-control, procrastination, overeating and laziness, then keep watching to find out how you can overcome them. What you need to know is that there are two separate entities in your head, a chimp and a human. The chimp is there to help you survive, whilst the human is there to help you thrive. However, there are two problems. The first problem is that the chimp's only goal is to keep you and your genes going. It is suited for survival in the wild. And the second, bigger problem is that we no longer live in the wild. It's also important to remember that there is a computer in your head as well. The computer is basically your habits, and if you program it properly, it will bypass the chimp and go into an automatic response you don't have to think about. But how do you control your chimp? Have you ever had one of those thoughts that you just can't get out of your head? For me, I used to always worry that I was about to die. For other people, it might be that their spouse is cheating on them, or how bad they want to eat a Krispy Kreme. No matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to stop the thought going on and on in your head. Well, there are two ways you can fix it. You can either distract the chimp or box it. So how do you distract the chimp? Well, if you're constantly thinking about food, you could distract yourself by giving your chimp an important task to do. Likewise, if you were worried about dying like I used to be, you'd give it a task to do, and if you were worried about your spouse cheating, once again, just give it a task. For example, you could plan the rest of your day or think about what you're going to do for a workout later. You could plan a trip on the weekend. There are so many things you can do, but sometimes this isn't always easy, so that comes to boxing the chimp. If you can't distract your chimp, it's probably because it is frightened, angry or sad, and you may need to box it. You do this by first letting it say what it needs to say for as long as it needs to say it. So if you have a close friend, let the chimp talk to him, or write it down on paper. You have to understand what the chimp is saying may not make sense, but it needs to be said anyway. After doing this for a while, it will grow tired, and then you can box it. When your chimp is tired, it won't fight against the human logic anymore, and therefore you can get it under control. It's also important to remember that you are not your feelings. One of the most important things that you can learn from this book, and more importantly for life, is that you are not your feelings. Your feelings are there to give you an example of how you could react, but that doesn't mean you have to act in that way. So remember, you do not have to act on your feelings. When you understand that your feelings are just suggestions for how you could act in a situation and not what you have to do, you will become unstoppable. The book is also great because it talks about how to set effective goals. Because a lot of the times, if you set a goal and don't reach it, you'll feel disappointed with yourself, but there's a way you can avoid this disappointment, and that's by setting a goal that isn't controlled by external factors. For example, you could set a goal of getting a job, but there's no guarantee you're going to get it. However, what if you changed your goals to reading up on the job, learning interview techniques, and how to act the part? If you don't get the job, you can still be happy because you achieved your goals and maximise your chance of getting the job. How can you apply this in your own life? Another great part of the book talks about dealing with social situations. Do you ever feel like you have to please everyone? It can be exhausting doing this, and in the long run, damaging to your dreams and your health. This happens because your chimp and human are struggling with miscommunication. As a human, you value other people and know for society to thrive, you need to get along with people. The chimp sees this with having to get along with everybody, even if it's destructive. To control your chimp in social situations beforehand is the key here. Set up rules for what you're willing to do and let your chimp know that it shouldn't take any other tasks on board. Then when someone asks you to do something you don't want to do, your chimp doesn't need to worry about saying no because you've already established some boundaries and decided what is acceptable to you. If you often say yes to people without thinking, instead of saying no outright, tell them you'll get back to them. That gives them the message that you might not be able to do it. And those were some of the best lessons I learned from the Chimp Paradox. If you wanted to buy the book, you can get it off Amazon. I'll leave a link in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day.